Hi, and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. This, right here, is Chris.
I'm Bree.
And welcome to another PAX-tastic edition of Atomic Facepalm Weekly, episode 4. Okay, so we just got back from PAX East. It was a PAX weekend. We got there on Friday. We spent Saturday and Sunday on the show floor, and man, we saw a lot.
Yeah, this was a good show.
Of games.
I feel like we saw tons of stuff.
This is one of the better ones, I feel like. For those who might be unfamiliar with PAX East, you may have heard of it. They have a PAX South, a PAX Australia, PAX, what used to be PAX Prime.
PAX West.
Is now PAX West. They changed it. It used to be just PAX. And then, so there's a couple of shows around America and the world. But between the two of us, we've been to PAX West. I've been going to PAX. We were just PAX back then forever. And this is our second time at PAX East. Mm-hmm. So probably one of the better shows we've been to overall.
No, I really had a good time. I played a lot of games I was loving. It was a good show.
I feel like the indie booth has grown both, not just in stature and grandeur, but also in the quality.
I feel like almost a third of the show floor is kind of indie-ish games of different levels.
Yep. And I'd say we spent, 70-80% of our time looking at indie games, which isn't to say there weren't good quality AAA games there. There were.
No, it's stuff like Pyre, for example. I can see the gameplay for that already online, whereas other indie games, I haven't seen them. I want to check them out. You know, some things I haven't heard of, so... Yeah, most of the time with indie games, for the most part.
It feels like a cathartic experience. It feels like you're going there and you're actually digging up these cool little gaming treasures. Some of them we knew about. This little game, which you may have heard of, called Hob. We played that before. This was a much better version.
It was really good.
And we're going to give you, there's going to be a really cool video that we're going to be working on. Well, Bree will be working on it because she's the master. She's really good. You're so good at video editing. I just sit here. I'm just the dummy.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we're doing a video on PAX East as a whole, where you're going to see all the games we played, our reactions to them after playing them.
Yep.
A whole idea of what you can expect if you go to that particular convention.
And that'll be probably later this week, I'd say.
Yeah, that one's pretty big. How many SD cards do we fill again?
I feel a lot.
Like
but there's also just a lot of crap.
A lot of B-roll. Yeah. And we also have another clip, which will be up probably right around the same time as this one, which is we got to sit down with Runic, and we got to take some exclusive secrets and play some really cool Hob gameplay. I'm going to go right out ahead and say it now. Between the two of us, Hob was game of the show, I would say.
Yeah, it was tied. I had to tie.
That's right. No, you did have to tie. Okay, I'm sorry.
I tied.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And what was the other tying game for you?
Pyre by Supergiant Games, which is it was in my top 5 for the year, and it's one I've been keeping an eye on. I'm a big fan of Supergiant anyways. I love their games. So, see, look. It's red, and there's my little USB stick.
She could dual wield. It's almost like a dagger and a big sword.
So I love their games as it is. So I had my eye on this game, and I finally got to play it. It had been at other PAXs, but I hadn't waited in line to get to it. So this time we both waited and played 2-player version of it. It was really good. It was.
Have they made any other games before? I feel like I've heard of it.
Yes, they made Bastion and Transistor, which is red.
I don't know why I remembered it this time, but Bree gives me a hard time because I can never remember which other games they made. I'm like, man, this game was like a great narrator. It's so awesome. You're like, yeah, that's kind of their thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes. Again, you will get a lot of discussion and reaction in the other video, but I feel like we go ahead and talk about it here a little bit too, because a lot of these games are worth it, honestly.
Yeah, I could talk about them several times. Hob, I love that. It's really interesting, and I think we're going to that whole video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will probably come out tomorrow, a whole video of gameplay, and we'll talk about all the things we like, but in general, just... I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely one of those games where there's no text, there's no dialogue, and instead it's what you see visually.
Yeah.
So it brings back that kind of wonder of wanting to, explore the things or understand what the world is just by exploring and finding different things. really nice quality in the graphics.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is like what I felt, which is it sounds like you and I grew up in similar games, right? Like you liked Zelda. I liked Zelda. This feels like a trip down memory lane, but not a rehash. It doesn't feel like
not even close. Yeah.
It feels definitely like it has inspiration, and we'll go into more detail again, and I don't mean to be redundant, but the game took a lot of inspiration from things like Miyazaki, famous anime director, as well as Journey, which was a game that came out for PS3 right when the PS3 launched. That game also had a silent protagonist with nothing on screen, no talking, pretty much just the guy. And this seems very much like that. It wants you to kind of see what's going on almost as the character does.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because you're kind of discovering this world. You look in the background, there's all these different things.
Yeah.
And you have to get that by exploring the world and doing things. And it makes it really grab you a little bit more than I think if it was just, this is this and that is that. It doesn't put you in that corridor of storytelling where you just kind of explore.
Sets itself apart.
Yeah.
Because, the devs freely admit it plays like Zelda to a certain degree, but honestly, I felt like it was its own unique game. Sure, there's elements such as slashing, and you can jump up and pound the ground. There's a lot of cool, very rewarding things, but it feels like it's like that aha moment. Like, I see what they're doing here.
Yeah, nice little puzzles where I can see that's from Zelda, but it's its own thing for sure.
Yeah. I had a blast. We played, about an hour of it total, roughly?
Yeah, 50 minutes or so.
And I could have kept playing it more and more. I was hilariously bad at it, not because the controls were bad, because I am horrible at using the analog stick. We played on a PS4 Pro, and I'm used to using the little D-pads on my games and it was pretty embarrassing. But it was still so much fun. So really looking forward to that. Okay, so that was like one game amongst 60 that were pretty awesome. Any others that stood out?
Like we said, Pyre. I like that a lot. It was very easy to pick up and tactical, fun. When we were standing in line, they gave us directions, and I looked at those directions like, oh no, actually,
it's in here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so they give you like a little card with the different directions, and I don't know, for some reason this is way more confusing than playing the game.
Yeah,
I looked at this and I kept studying it because we're playing 2 players, we're playing versus, and I really want to kick his ass. So I'm trying to be really good at the game from the start, and so I studied those in line. They didn't make sense, but then once you get the game in your hands, it's really easy to pick up. It's pretty much 3 buttons and moving around,
Yeah, one of the buttons you get to switch characters. You have your giant the tank character guy.
So each side has 3 characters: your tank, your magic guy, and your little fast guy.
Yeah.
And you can switch between those with X.
But the catch being, if you leave them there, they're vulnerable. They have a little aura that surrounds them, so if you get into that aura, it kills you, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And it's basically, I would compare it to soccer.
Yeah, it's kind of a sports game, almost like capture the flag-ish.
Yeah.
Destroy your enemy's base, because basically you're trying to grab the ball, the crystal in the middle, and take that to the enemy's thing and put out their pyre, put out their magic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite capture the flag, because you're trying to grab this thing and then invade their area.
It's like scoring a goal, basically.
Yeah.
And then you can, when you are holding on to whatever the pyre, I guess it is, you can't use your attacks. You're basically vulnerable. You can throw it, you can pass it and drop it, and then do these attacks that go towards people. It's like one hit, one kill. So your guy has a little area of effect that shoots out and hits another guy and you kill him. So you can actually wipe the other team, and it takes a little while to respawn.
Yeah, there's a little counter for each one, so you can see some, and that happened almost every game several times too.
Yeah.
You lose all your guys because the other person would be sneaky.
I also figured out you could jump, and you could jump over attacks.
Yeah, so each character can sprint, and for some people, the big guy, that's a jump and a slam, and it kind of knocks people back. And I don't know the magic user person's.
He seemed like he was just jack of all trades guy, so he was medium speed, medium power.
And then there was the tiny guy who was just super fast, so when he sprinted, he was going really fast.
And he has a tiny little line that hits guys hard to aim him.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. The music was very haunting and sort of surreal. Again, the narrator was awesome because that's their thing. Yeah,
and just the overall art style is just so cohesive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just this is their style, and it's not necessarily what you saw in Bastion, what you saw in Transistor.
No, a very different game.
A very different game, very different play. We didn't play the single player, but I assume it's more of that, just maybe with a story.
That's true. That's good to point out. Yeah, we played the 2-player. I don't know if there's co-op. I don't know how that will work, but it was versus.
Yeah.
So, man, and I'm looking at one of the cards right now called Overland.
Yeah, so I played that.
I was actually kind of curious to get your feedback on that one.
I wanted. It's kind of hard in a show environment. It was one of those games where it was only like 3/4 of the way through my trial that I understood how to do the mechanics. It's basically a survival, but turn-based survival game, I guess. Because you're not really attacking the other person. You're kind of on this little map, and you've got to find things and get a car, pick up friends, and get gas, and make it as far as possible, I think, is the overall idea of the game. But it wasn't until halfway through that I realized I had all this gas. Like, my guys are walking around with big gallons of gas, but
I did see that, yeah.
I didn't know how to put it in the car, so my car finally, blew up from the monsters that are around you, but you're not supposed to attack them. So it's more survival turn-based than action strategy.
I was wondering about that, because I didn't see if there was any way that you could damage them.
No, there was no way that I mean, maybe you do pick up weapons later on, but as far as I could tell, no. And if you got near them, that was it. You were dead. And I could revive my guys, and I could heal and get in the car. It was something I want to have more time with.
Yeah.
What parts are in it are pretty clear, and there was no tutorial, so I didn't know.
It looked confusing.
It was a little confusing at start, but I wouldn't say that's a UI issue. It was just I felt like I needed just a 30-second tutorial in there, and not even necessarily like this is how you do this, but just an overlay to kind of say this is where this is and this is where that is.
And being indie booths, it's not like they have 6 PR people running around showing you how to play the games. This is you go
one
there.
Girl.
Oh yeah, it was like
she
really
was
one.
packed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like these tiny little areas, which again is cool. It feels like a garage band type of mentality. So you go in there and it's like, oh, you're playing this cool little, very heartfelt game that they put a lot of effort into.
Yeah, the style of it was really cool, which is why I captured my interest. Also, it was by Finji or whatever, and they're the same people that published Night in the Woods, which we just recently played. So I was kind of interested to see this game. And
a completely different game, though.
Yeah, no, completely different game. This is all gameplay, less story, at least so far that I can tell. Whereas Night in the Woods is all story and less gameplay.
Yeah, it's like a complete opposite.
Yeah, so that was Overland. That was one of the games I played.
Yep, we all played. So we went there as a family. And honestly, if you're on the fence saying, PAX is that for a family, it kind of is. I think it works well. There's a good mix of adult games, and there's a good mix of games you can play as families. So, for example, we played Ultimate Chicken Horse. Also, they had a lot of awesome game names at this PAX.
Yeah, that was one of the...
So, Ultimate Chicken Horse, the idea is you and up to 3 other people, rather. I think it has the option to play with less, but the version we were playing, you had to use 4.
Yeah, it was 4.
Yeah. So, you're on the screen. You start off, you select a little comical cartoon character. Then you each get to go into this box of surprises. You pick out a little icon like stairs or a saw blade or a bomb or a spike.
Yeah.
And you select a level, and then you get to build the level. So you each get to pick one item. You then place that on the level. Then you have to play through it and get to the flag. And that progressively gets more and more. So the next time you do it, you get more stuff to place on there until you've got this ridiculous, complex, murderous level.
And sometimes it's too hard. So, on your 4th time through, everybody's placed something each and every time. So the 4th time through, it's almost too hard, and nobody makes it. And so the next time you kind of go back in, and you can get these bombs to blow up things.
Stuff, yeah.
Because sometimes you can make it so you can't get to the flag, and you have to kind of, oh wait, that's a little much, and it's pretty fun.
The idea is you want to be the one that scores the most, and you get a small bump of points if someone runs into your trap.
Yeah, if you kill somebody with your trap, if you get to the flag first.
Time, I think, also.
Time, maybe, yeah. So you keep getting a little bit, chunks of points until you get to over the finish line.
The design is very cute and, enjoyable, even though there's, violent things in it. There's no blood or anything. So, again, it's
Well, each time you can choose, chameleon, a sheep, a cow, a raccoon, a robot rabbit.
Yeah, with treads.
And then when they all get to the end, they each have their own little dance. So they're shuffling and dancing, woohoo, I made it.
The sheep does jump rope with his fleece.
Yeah, something. Oh, that's a squirrel.
Was that the squirrel?
Tail. Yeah.
Oh, he uses his tail. That's great. It was a lot of fun, actually. We went back and played that twice. Great fun for the family.
No, it's just a good party game, I think.
Yeah, that too. Because it's actually equally as fun to watch people play it.
Yeah.
Like, we were all cheering for people, and they were up there like, oh my God, get there.
I think that's why we played it twice, because that was one of those games that's fun to wait in line, because you're watching.
Yeah.
You're it's interactive, like you're cheering on the next team, so.
Yeah, good stuff there.
That was definitely the thumbs up for me.
Yes. Boy, what else? So, just to put this in order, so far I would say Hob was my number 1.
Yep.
Pyre was my number 2. Mm-hmm. Ultimate Chicken Horse is my number, 1, 2, 3. 3. My 4th one was a game called Dead Cells. It's about molecular biology. It is not about that. It's about a Metroidvania game, which I really enjoy those kind of games. If they're done well, such as Hollow Knight. I think I bent that. I'm sorry.
No, but this was one where it was like the art and the pins. Like, we got a pin somewhere along the way.
The pin was awesome. I think I may have put that somewhere else, but yeah.
I think we actually put it on something. But anyways, we got the pin, and that was like, whoa, that looks really cool. And then we went back to the booth, and that was really what got us to the booth anyways.
And oh man, so it's 16-bit kind of pixel art. It's randomly generated levels. The levels literally are a carbon copy when you look at the map of Symphony of the Night. So it's very much in tune with that. You play as kind of this weird cyberpunk sort of samurai ninja type of guy. I think you can play as other characters. They only have one guy you could choose there. You get to go through and buy new equipment. It's very straightforward in what it does, but what it does it well. Like, you need to be pretty quick. You've got to deflect projectiles. You can choose between ranged weaponry or a sword. You have limited ammunition for certain things. It was a lot of fun. It's a roguelike, so you basically got one life. But man.
So I looked at this game, I was like, yeah, no. It's a game that I'm going to be terrible at. There's no reason for me to take up someone's time and mess around with it, because I'm just going to, you're dead, dead. You know, it's just not my kind of game. But I
love it.
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah. I definitely say that the art, this stuff, was way cooler looking and more my style than maybe the game was.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. I don't know who their graphic designer is that put together all their booth
stuff
and material.
They had a good product pitch there.
Yeah.
So that was my number 4 game. How about you? What's one of the other games that piqued your interest?
So I got to play Little Nightmares while we were there. Littlest Nightmares.
How did I forget about that?
I don't know, because we didn't actually take anything, and we didn't do a wrap-up on the end of it.
Oh, that's right. Crap. I was going to say, how did I leave that out?
Because we ended up getting done with that and sprinting off to Hob to do our appointment, and so I didn't get, I actually didn't get anything from it.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that, because it was like, it looks like, so you see like the video capture, it looks great, but in person, it looks remarkable.
It does, and I'd say that, if you've seen any gameplay from that game, it, looks exactly like that. But you're also, what they had playable at PAX was what we've seen before.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew the little puzzles, and it wasn't too challenging.
You got through it pretty quick. I was watching other people, and you were one of the better ones.
Because I've been studying this game.
Yeah.
Analyzing it.
Yes.
Because it looks so good. I'd say it's not as responsive as something like... when you're moving your character around and jumping onto things, it is not the most responsive game, but it is really pretty. I don't feel like their animations are super fluid, where you're grabbing onto something and it's like this. It's more like if you're against the wall just like this and then you grab, it'll work.
Yeah, I was expecting almost like Prince of Persia type of animation where it's very fluid and almost like parkour. It looked jagged in spots as far as like...
So your guy is often kind of turning in circles. That aside, it is like I think everybody at this point has maybe seen The Kitchen Chef. Like,
it's scary still.
He's like such a creepy character. It's so unique that it's just, I'm still really excited to play it. I didn't put it, I wouldn't say, I'd say Hob and Pyre were my 2 picks. And then from there's a lot of stuff I'm interested in, but I'm not going to call it as a pick yet.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had enough time with it to say, that's something I'm into.
Yeah, that was actually one of the shorter demos, I felt like, of all the games there. You played it quick, but it really seemed like there wasn't more of them we've already seen.
Yeah, so and that's the same when I see kind of their trailer. You're mostly getting snippets from that main piece. So I'm ready to see more, which it is coming out, I think, in April.
It's quick. Yeah, a lot of these games are actually coming out in April. I mean, not all of them. But
yeah, in the next few months, a lot of these games are coming out. So that's soon, and I'm going to play it. No questions there. But
I want to play it, too.
I didn't walk away from that gameplay with anything that I didn't already have.
Yeah.
I guess. So that's kind of, I'm still interested. So what's something else you played?
Well, I also played this little game here called Buck. And, I only played it for a few minutes. It was okay. It was kind of cool, though, because it was an Israeli developer. That was also something I noticed, now that we're on that topic. There was a lot of diversity, like cultural diversity, in the indie game crowd. I would say a few of them spoke English. Well, they all spoke English.
They all did, but you can definitely, some heavy accents, like Flinthook and then Russian subway dogs. They both were people that had strong accents. So
which is kind of cool. The same thing with... oh man, I'm forgetting the game I just said, Dead Cells, which was neat. I actually like seeing that. I don't know if I've seen that much diversity in a PAX convention before, so that was kind of nice. So Buck is very straightforward from what I saw. It's very early on. Cool, cartoonish, good design. They named it, I don't know if you can see this, maybe, probably not, but there's actually a pet dog of the developer, and they based the main character on his pet dog.
Which is what the first thing he said to you is he shows you a picture of his dog, and this is my dog Buck, and this game is based off of him.
Is a great way to get
it was instantly
in the heartstrings. Yeah, it was really cute.
He was a cute dog,
and he was super nice too. Actually, he was actually one of the nicer guys there. They're all nice, but he was very welcoming. It's sort of like your basic crafting type of survival side scroller game. And it was fun. Pretty good animations. I was not very good at it. But I don't think that was the game's fault again. These types of games can be tough for me. So it was kind of fun. I'd be interested to play a little bit more. Way too early for me to really have any opinion on it other than good looking start.
And it looks like you can try it for free now on Steam.
Oh, well, there you go.
So if you're interested at all, it looks like it's free
I'd recommend it. If it's free on Steam to try out, give it a shot. Even if it's like 10 minutes or so. It probably takes nothing to download it. It's a pixel art game or like an art-inspired game.
And it looks like weapon customization, action.
You have a very limited inventory, and you can, you have like a home base area where you can craft certain things. You have melee attacks, you have ranged weapons. It was pretty violent, honestly, but it felt good. It was a neat little game. And we also played Flinthook. So this game, Bree's going to play this day one, and she's going to beat it in like an hour.
So this is a game that actually, look at this art. Seriously.
Oh man. Some of these things are awesome looking though.
Yeah, no, this is actually one I want to keep because this is the front thing is cool.
Frame it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. This was one that was already on my list before we even went to PAX.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was on our calendar. It's already. I knew. So when he was saying when it was released, I was like, yeah, it's already on the calendar. It reminded me a lot of Owlboy in the art style, that really pixely kind of thing. But also when I was watching gameplay trailers, you've got this kind of grappling hook and you're kind of pinging all around the screen, which reminds me again of Owlboy because there's a lot of, even though it's a 2D game, you're moving all around the space all the time.
And one of your characters has that ability.
Yeah.
The whatever he was.
Yeah, so definitely that's what drew me in was that kind of Owlboy connection, even though it has nothing to do with it. But I was also worried immediately that I was going to be terrible at it. Because this is the kind of game where I don't have the reaction time like that to just be like ping, 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 and dodging bullets and shooting guys and that twin stick kind of thing. But you seemed to pick it up right away, so much so that the guy came over after you played.
That was surprising. So I got to say, again, I am not great at these games. I did okay at Owlboy. I did okay. But for whatever reason, this thing, I picked it up quick. So you can double jump, you can wall jump. But your guy's really tiny, super small. So you have all this real estate on the screen, and you're hooked to start with when he goes out so far, like a little bit. So you can't just shoot it across the whole screen and zip over there. So you have a lot of spots to hook onto, and the idea is probably a lot from Bionic Commando, a game that was remade recently, 5 years ago. And the idea of that was a grappling hook. But man, it felt so good, and it felt like you didn't have to be super precise, probably why I did okay at it. I felt like the little scanning area where your thing latched onto was nice. It wasn't overly forgiving, but it wasn't like, I've got to get this damn thing exactly. And because of that, I was able to pop around, and when you're shooting yourself and launching, you can shoot in midair, catch someone else, shoot in midair, and holy crap, it's so much fun. It felt like an arcade game, like a really fun arcade game.
And it looked so responsive. What I was just saying about Littlest Nightmares, this is the opposite for this game, where it was just spot on, which is so important for a game like this. So, it's already incredibly polished, I felt like, for a game that's coming out.
And again, it has, like a lot of these other games we played, and this is kind of the theme these days, randomized levels. And there's different bosses for different levels depending on, again, the random number generator that goes on in the background. The idea is you're a little, space pirate, a really cute space pirate. And not much of a plot that I could see other than you're trying to kind of knock out the bad guy. Well, maybe he's a bad guy. Didn't really go into detail. But, man, it was a lot of fun. This is one I actually didn't know a whole lot about. And I saw it, I was like, that looks kind of cool. And I gave it a shot, and it was like that. Maybe I probably put a shit. I don't know. It's so hard to rank all these games. I feel like.
That's why I just went with 2 picks, and then everything else is I'm excited to play it, and I'm so happy that people are making such great games. That's my review of everything else.
Yeah, and I really don't think I played a single game that was like, oh, that kind of sucked. You know?
No.
I mean,
guess I probably walked past some games where I was like, it's just not for me.
Yeah. And there were a lot of VR games we wanted to play, but those are impossible unless you want to wait in line for like an hour or more. Probably more for a lot of the VR games.
You know, I'd say a game that was lower on the list was Rain World.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Because you had pointed it out before we went.
It looks so good.
It looks so good. You're like a little cat slug, which is the cutest thing ever. Like, even though I didn't like the game, I still want a cat slug plus.
The art style A+.
Yeah, art style A+, the art surrounding the game A+, but the game itself was kind of like, oh, okay.
The gameplay was like, what?
Kind of like slugging around.
I didn't know what to do. I legitimately didn't know what to do.
And it didn't seem like there was a lot of enemies either. It was just kind of like you in the world slugging around.
There was these weird, like, Chinese dragons or something that would come after you eventually, but I don't know what you're supposed to do in that game. And this was actually a bigger indie game. Like, there was 4 monitors playing at once. Yep. It's part of Adult Swim Games, so they have a decent-sized publisher. But no real tutorial. No one really kind of saying, hey, here's what you're supposed to do. Here's what it's based off of. So I will caution that maybe it's fine and I just missed the whole point, but not a game you can just jump into and expect to do well in.
Yeah, so there wasn't a hook for the gameplay aspect, and there wasn't a hook in story-wise, and it was like, it was one of the few games where, like, instead of recording you playing the game, I kind of wandered off.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't spend long on it, and
that's why there wasn't much of a line, too. So that would, I'd say, is one of the ones where we played it, and I was kind of like, eh. Actually, speaking of other games that I didn't enjoy much.
Which one was that?
Has Been Heroes. This was the one that had the really confusing control scheme. So at first, I'm just like mashing the buttons. We finally got it to do something.
That one. Yeah.
It looked good. Looked like a good game. We got right into it, and we're like, nice big booth.
So I think it was launching on Nintendo Switch, but that wasn't the only platform. So
it's saying PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Steam comes out March 28th.
I would like to give that one another shot.
Yeah, I'm not going to rule it out, but it just,
The controls, the way they're presented, which is minimally, was frustrating.
Yeah. So at first, we spent a good 5 minutes, and I'm not really exaggerating there.
It was literally 5 minutes.
5 minutes just trying to figure out, and they have a little sheet there that, is similar to Pyre, where it tells you what it does, but it didn't help me at all.
That sheet was useless.
And then so at one point, we couldn't get anything to happen. I just started doing this, and things started happening. We're like, okay, and then you actually figured it out. But for me, I'm out then.
Yeah.
If it's gotten that hard that I can't make something happen by just pushing, until I smash buttons, I'm kind of...
It reminded me of like Plants vs. Zombies, where you've got these slowly approaching enemies.
And you had the lanes. So each character had its own lane, and you could move them through the lanes, but... You could.
I actually didn't figure out how to do that, and it feels like that was a critical part of the game, so I was very limited in what I was doing. For the few minutes when it worked, it was really fun. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like that was eclipsed by the frustration leading up to that moment.
Yeah, so that would be one that was meh.
Yeah.
So...
And Russian Subway Dogs, special shout out to them. It's a very simple, and I mean a really simple game where it's
They're
like,
so cute.
Oh my God, there's a cat named Proletary Cat, and I played him. So you select either a cat or dog or another cute little facsimile, and it just takes place in the subway, and you run back and forth, and you got bark or meow really loud to scare like people are going by, and they throw their food up in the air, and you gotta catch the food in the air to get points to replenish your life. And every time you meow or bark, it takes away a little part of your life, and then you get the food. It's like the simplest gameplay, but it was immediately rewarding. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those games where, like, I would play it to relieve stress, like for 10, 15 minutes.
That seemed like an awesome mobile game.
Yes.
Actually, I don't even know if it's coming. But so I also noticed this is a game that they made in a day. Not that the whole game, they polished it. But the basic gameplay, they said they made it in a day. It was some sort of thing.
It was so much fun for, like, it's like jump and go side to side.
Yeah, so Steam, no, it just looks like computer, but I wish that this would come out on my phone, because this would be a game that I play on my phone.
Yeah, or a tablet or something.
Yeah.
But it was actually a lot of fun. Like, seriously, I mean, I don't think it'd be very expensive at all. Like, probably like $5 or something, or 10. But it was lots of fun. I actually kind of want to get it and just play it here and there in the downtime. It would run like on anything.
Yeah.
So that's another bonus for that one.
And again, with the great marketing for a game that they made in a day, they then followed up with amazing polish. Like, their booth was cool, and like these little cards. Like, this is another card that I'd like hang on the fridge or something.
Yeah, the art style was just great.
Yeah,
and very, very cute. So if you don't like that stuff, well, fine. But I do. I love it. So there are probably 25, 30 other games we're forgetting, or that we'll get to in the other video, which will be out later on. But I think that's probably pretty good. Is there anything else you wanted to mention while we're here?
I'd talk about this for just a minute.
Okay.
Is this Yonder Cloud Catcher Chronicles? Somebody actually tweeted this game to me. He's like, hey, this looks like your kind of game, like Harvest Moon, Zelda-ish game. And then we were walking around, and I bumped into the booth. And it was really cute. It was, you're farming resources. You got to get your little farm going and, find rock and stick and do little quests. It was cute. It was enjoyable.
It looked like, again, kind of like Hob. It was very inviting and warm.
Really warm. I'd say Hob is a little bit more, age level wise, kind of where you're coming in. This is much more Animal Crossing to me, where it's just a little almost too kiddish, but then at the same time it's really heartwarming and nice.
Yeah.
So interesting.
This is one of those booths where there's like a couple of kids.
Yeah, there's kids, and they were being really. I mean, my kids played it and they liked it. So it's a little bit, I'd say, younger game, at least from the part that I played. But that doesn't. I still.
No, it's nice to see good games like that. They're based at younger crowds. Like, that's, if you want to get your kids into gaming, it's probably like the perfect entry to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, just like Stardew Valley and Ooblets is another game that I'm just like, that looks like a little kid game, but I'm just over the moon about that coming out soon. So
yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
And again, there's gonna be a lot more. So keep your eyes peeled. To kind of put a period at the end of episode 4, we're gonna go into the playground.
Is that your name for the segment this week? Are you asking what have I played this week?
Well, besides everything we did at PAX. I'm kind of kidding, because we played so many games. I feel like, yeah. So I will mention, I really just wanted to use this to say, we are still waiting to review Torment. I'm sorry. I have spent probably 40 hours in that game, and...
Because somebody here is a completionist and has to do every single quest, where some people just experience the game and roleplay the character
This is me
and go
hiding.
through it. But this guy right here is taking friggin' forever.
I'm sorry. I want to get the most out of the game. It's spoiler alert. It's really good.
No, it is really good. So I also still am playing Zelda when I can pry that away from my kids' hands.
No easy task.
And playing Zelda, which is getting 9 out of 10 reviews, and then I'll go back into Torment, and Torment is just. It's still in there for a Game of the Year kind of contender. It's just so interesting.
Oh man, it's
like
good.
I can't even. I don't know how many people worked on the general world, but it is
far
so
less than you would think.
Imaginative. There are so many times I'm like, well, that's got to be the weirdest thing I've seen in this game, and then I go around the corner, I'm like, holy crap, that's what? It's just so cool.
And you and I have had vastly, despite playing a relatively identical character, right down to like the tide and the type. Like, we were like, oh, we're playing the same character. Despite that, way different experiences. Yeah,
so we chose the same class or whatever it's called, and we definitely are kind of playing that, paladin character.
Yep.
Where we help everybody, and totally different in some places. And it depends on what heroes you choose, how things go down.
Yeah.
So if you have a different hero with you at certain places, you'll get to experience different things. So it's got a replay value that's really...
Oh, it's up there. And people are complaining because it took 3 years of development. I'm impressed it didn't take 10.
I thought it took more than that.
I thought it was 3. It could be more than that. I'm going off just crappy 38-year-old memory here, so keep that in mind.
I was thinking more like 2011 maybe, but maybe I'm wrong.
Even if it was that, well worth the wait.
It might be 2013. Anyways.
Well worth it. So, I mean, obviously we're giving away that's a pretty good game, but we'll go into discussion on that when I can finally finish it, which will hopefully be at some point.
This weekend maybe?
Yeah.
Hopefully this week. Early next week, I'd say the review for Torment will be out.
Yeah. So that is pretty much it. And again, there's like a bazillion other games that we will probably get into that we've forgotten about, but so many games. Great time at PAX. If you haven't been to a PAX, whether it's PAX East, PAX South, whatever, you should go. Like, seriously, it's worth it.
It is.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, go ahead and hit subscribe. We'd love to have you.
If you didn't like it, go ahead and thumbs up it anyways.
Yeah.
Be cool.
And get a friend to subscribe. Right? You can also leave a comment below. That's also fine, too. We like hearing what people think. So, until next time, this is Chris. That's Bree. Good luck and have fun.